Hello, my name is Warren Reid. In the introduction to this video series, I promise to tell you what to expect if you end up in litigation and help you determine if your case is strong or weak. Following is an excerpt from our list of claims and charges I've seen in more than 100 large system failures worldwide that continue to appear year after year and case after case. First, I'll show you what the customer-client claims, and then what the integrator, consultant, and vendor's responses are, and its counterclaims. Here we go. The customer-client says the system doesn't work. It's not what we needed. It's not what we wanted. It doesn't meet our business expectations. Doesn't meet our goals. The integrator responds, the system meets the approved and agreed to functional and technical requirements. We demoed it to you. The requirements traceability matrix proves that requirements can be traced back and forth to the design, code, tests, and documentation. Your stakeholder expectations were not aligned. Or the customer client says you delivered limited functionality. Features and functions are missing. The system is not real time. Performance is unproven. The abilities are not met. Abilities like maintainability, reliability, recovery, security, and more. The integrator says the functionality only appears limited because of your constant increasing scope, which turned to scope gallop and then scope stampede. And you constantly did this, enlarging the scope of the project, overwhelming the change control board's capability. Keep in mind that changing only 2% per month theoretically is changing 100% over 4 years. It is extremely difficult in a multi-year project to deliver on such a moving target. The customer client says the system failed in the field. We continue to experience excessive overtime, ongoing loss of reputation, customers, and revenue post-go live. We are hit with large fines for failing to pass federal regulations, and much more. The integrator says the system won't work without your business processes being re-engineered and your organization changed to properly use and manage the system. That was your responsibility, not ours. The customer client says training was bad, it was wrong, it was late, there was no refresher training, training takeaways were poor, and the application sandboxes for trainees to get hands-on practice were broken. The integrator says, you're right, customer people weren't trained. That's because promised super users and managers didn't show up or left for emergencies and never came back. Training was in addition to their already overloaded work schedule. The customer client says system will never work. It's fatally flawed. Your system's tests show excessive errors caused by requirements, design, and coding issues. You provided no automated regression testing suite in the project or turnover to maintenance. The integrator responds, we need only 2 to 3 more months, without any basis for that in many cases. And you must fix inaccurate interface definitions and converted data which is still uncleansed, unverified, and missing, still causing errors. The customer client says, you did a bait and switch. Your A-team never showed up. Many of the people you provided were unskilled for their tasks, they arrived late, they were unavailable full-time. The integrator responds, your promised resources were unavailable. They had limited business knowledge, were not decision makers, and had different goals for the system. The customer client says you abandoned leading promise methodology, deviating without alerting us to the risks. You gave us poor advice and little leadership. You gave us rosier than actual progress reports, so none of us ever knew where the project really stood. You approved go live when we weren't ready. The integrator responds, you told us to meet your arbitrary go live date. You refused to defer anything. You put dollar savings ahead of risk. You shortcut requirements development, testing, training, data conversion, and interfaces. You prevented us from following the promised methodology. The lesson here is for you to analyze each of the claims above and see where you stand and where you may have contributed to the project's failure. All parties contribute, but typically one makes or forces the decision that will eventually doom the project. Know where you stand.